I laugh when I'm
two.
nervous. Hi, my name is Fernando Martinez. I'm in EGR 304. One thing that I did learn from class that was very important is the importance of teamwork. One thing is in the engineering field, we're going to learn to be working in teams. And one of the most important things about teamwork is communication. We need to communicate with all our team members and work as a group and as a one unit. Another thing that we learned that I took from this class is software. For software, we were able to program using the C language, and we used it to program our PSOC. Now, with this specific type of programming, it's specialized for the PSOC, so it's different than your conventional C programming. One thing I did learn is that even though the baseline is similar, it is very different between different microcontrollers that are out there on the market right now. Another most important thing that I learned about in this program, in this specific course, was the use of cadence. One requirement that we had for this class was to construct a PCB board. Now, it had to be custom, so we had to design it ourselves. That means we had to create the traces for it, holes for it, to make sure that our circuit was wired up correctly. By using a specific cadence program, we were able to learn how to find out how the different connections work, and using a smaller sized dimension, which we used in mills. Those were the two main components that we learned from this course. Using these, I think it would help us later on in the different courses that we have to take for the rest of our programming and engineering. Thank you very much.
Things we've learned throughout EGR 304 is really going to help between our future classes and in the industry as well. Between making our own PCBs, our own schematics, using Cadence, which is also a worldwide industry tool, and getting us more familiar with it. It also allows us to come together, and in EGR 304 we also learn group dynamics and who's doing what and kind of what role we can all fill. So that also helps out throughout the industry and our future classes, as well as software and programming. When I first came here, the only software I actually knew was Basic Arduino, which was pretty much a joke in EGR 102. But throughout the extensive software programming, I now know how to do servos, how to turn on and off transistors, and pretty much code a whole entire PSOC. So whatever it is I need. The last thing that I was told about how EGR 304 is really going to help fuel our development, especially in our. What I actually heard from an engineer who's currently in the field is that everything we're learning currently in 304, more often than not, doesn't exactly make us an electrical engineer. It just means that we're at the beginning stages of an electrical engineer. And what that means is that everything we're learning in 304 pretty much just teaches us how to learn. So when we get into industry, it doesn't mean we're going to know everything, but it teaches us how we are going to learn everything that we are possibly going to know.
Hi, I'm Skylar Mogensen, and I'm in group 22. Things I wish I learned before this class. There's a big list, but the key ones I'm going to say are I wish I knew more programming. I came into this knowing very little. I was a transfer student, and they made me bypass the beginning classes, but everyone has told me in the beginning classes you really don't learn much about any coding. And so when I did MATLAB, I learned some coding, but it was kind of more of a mathematical equations. And then when we did EGR 202, it taught us with the Arduino, but that has nothing compared to these BLE and PSOC. It's not even close to C programming, which I've kind of dabbled into. So there's like this line of, I don't know, programming I'm not even sure about. So that's one thing I wish I was more taught instead of go out and learn. Cadence was another one that was more difficult. Like I said prior, we're not in a classroom where the teacher's going through and doing the rundown of this is what, this is this, this is that. It's more of a do it yourself, follow these tutorials, and yes, they do help, but they don't help to the extent where you can go through these and say, oh, I got a question about this. What if I want to do this? What if I want to do that? I'm not being taught that. So that's one of my big key things that I wish we learned before class or during class, and honestly, a little more time management. And
So one of the last things that I definitely feel we should have learned before coming to EGR 304, it's just something that 216 really didn't prepare us for, would be making our own schematics. Many of us got into class and we're just told, go on ahead and, okay, here's your idea, how are you going to get there? And none of us knew exactly what to do. I had to physically go and bug all my upperclassmen friends, bug the TAs, I bugged the professor, and that's what I really wish I knew how to do before coming to 304, is just how to actually know what I'm creating and why it's there, because
and how to go about it.
Right, like I didn't even know that I needed capacitors for my voltage regulator, and I've honestly never looked up a data sheet before in any class before this one. And
I knew basic electronics enough to be dangerous, but when it came to like certain parts and like TAs are like, oh, why didn't you have this?
Yep.
Well, we weren't taught that. Well, why don't you have this?
Yeah, I believe
Well,
the circuits that you learn in 216 and 330, and they're just very simple. And when you get into this class, the circuits are very complex. And just before class, the previous classes, they just don't prepare you for it. And that was quite disappointing.
Overall, just unprepared for this with prior training.
But that's what we wish we learned.